Right in this video, I want to talk to you about a topic called Everything Works. So, this topic came to me because, in my years of internet marketing experience, I've hopped from thing to thing. I see a lot of people hopping from thing to thing too. And, um, thinking that like this thing works or this one thing works better or this thing that used to work stopped working or isn't as effective as it used to be. And when I really zoom out and kind of reflect on and think about all the things I've seen, the truth is that pretty much everything works or everything can work. And you just have to figure out, kind of dabble with things and figure out and experiment for yourself and see what works for you, what makes sense for you. Some examples are, there's people that buy or find free things at you know yard sales and flipping things on Craigslist and stuff. And like that is something that I heard about years ago. I'm sure there's people that still do that. There's Facebook Marketplace now, whereas back when Craigslist started, there wasn't Facebook Marketplace. So, like the same things that worked on Craigslist still work on Facebook Marketplace, but Craigslist is still around. So it's like, is anybody still on Craigslist? And the truth is there's tons of people that are probably just discovering Craigslist for the first time. And in the world of like marketing and stuff, there's direct mail, which has been around for decades. And even though not a lot of online marketers talk about direct mail, there's still people that are using it. There's still people that are crushing it. There may be less of them because we tend to get less mail in our physical mailbox than we used to, but that still exists. I know of people that are doing very well with that and have done that for years and years and years. There's really obscure things that work that you wouldn't, when you've discovered them or you find out someone else is doing it, you're like, how could that possibly work? And then the things that are working that are a little bit more mainstream or that are a little bit more in your awareness, there's lots of, there might be lots of people doing that same thing at the same time. So I just want to share this video to encourage people that are just getting started, or people especially that have been in the pursuit of making money or just doing any kind of thing that they're interested in, whether they're chasing it for money or they're just interested to see if they can make a business out of it. That basically everything works if you just you know figure out enough about that thing. There's people searching for all different types of solutions out there. And you like some examples is like Facebook posts and stuff. I There's people that are crushing it right now with Facebook organic, just posting to their wall and stuff, and still in Facebook groups. And then there's people that are going to say the opposite of that because they're not getting results. And then they'll say like Facebook engagement is dead and Facebook, groups are dead and all that stuff. And so just be, if you're interested in something or you're curious about something, I would look for the people that are having success in it, not the people that are, not, same way with like crypto and stuff. There's lots of people making lots of money, but, if you're interested in that, then don't let people that are not interested in that or don't understand it at all and their opinions and stuff sway you from, what you either know is possible or just what you're interested in, and to kind of tie this into what I do, what I teach, and what I've been doing for the last decade plus is affiliate marketing and SEO. And since I have a course, people, this used to kind of rub me the wrong way, but people that a lot of times are either brand new to making money online or brand new to affiliate marketing or brand new to SEO. And there's a couple of people that maybe are have a little bit more experience that have this critique, but they, the program, the loop in their head is like, if it's not new, if it's not updated, then it must not be relevant, then it must stop working. And, when you're starting out, it can be tempting to be like, oh, yeah, like I want to stay on the latest trends and stuff, and like the latest, what are the latest techniques in your realm of awareness and stuff. But now I apply the same philosophy to my course and training. It hasn't been updated in the last couple of years, but it's still relevant because the things that I teach inside, they're not rooted in something that's going to be changing. Like there are new products and services coming out, every single week that you can promote as an affiliate, or being a part of their referral program. But the principles and the methods mentioned inside, they never stopped working. So for the people that are kind of have that, or critique or concern, like, yeah, it's kind of similar to people that are probably teaching something related to like stock trading or something. Like, I mean, if it relies on a particular tool or whatever, maybe that particular tool stops working, but it doesn't mean that the overall strategy stops working. And that's one thing I'd want to relay as well for those of you that are, just starting out with some kind of pursuit to making money, whether it be online or offline. A lot of times we when things stop working for us, sometimes we can, you know, jump to conclusions and throw in the towel prematurely and think, since it's not working for us, this whole system stopped working. And that's just not the case most of the time. Usually it just means finding an alternative to a particular tool. Same way with my process there. The fundamentals don't change. The the tools involved and the methods sometimes do change, but that doesn't mean that the whole strategy and the whole philosophy behind it stopped working. How I can tie this into something that you might be familiar with, it's like, or might be more familiar with, is like, it's if there's lots of automobiles out there, but if the tire if it, you got a flat tire one day, it would be silly to say, oh, well, I'm not going to drive this car anymore, the tires stopped working, I'm just going to walk, or I'm just going to start like riding horses, and all cars don't work anymore because mine doesn't work or whatever. That would be silly. And that's the reality. It's like, just because something may have stopped working for you because you ran into like a snag or something, but there's people out there that are still getting tons and tons of results with the same method, or a same method, but they have found an alternative tool to whatever strategy it is that you're trying to make work, or whatever that was working that may have stopped working for you. It doesn't mean that the whole strategy stopped working. It just may take a little bit of like tinkering and debugging and figuring out how to correct that one little piece of the whole, like, supply chain of operations in your business. So just something I wanted to share, to reinforce that, like, if you're considering any method of making money out there, I've seen just both sides of so many different things over the years, that if you're considering something, first look to see if there's someone out there that's doing it. There may already be somebody that's like can shortcut you your way there, and can give you guidance, and either through like YouTube videos, or there's usually someone out there by now that stuff. And so I would just honestly just learn what they learn and build upon it, rather than trying to tinker and figure out everything on your own. It's just the fastest way. And less, yeah, I think the older you get, the longer you're in this game of life, you'll I would just recommend looking for shortcuts and stuff. It's not worth trying to figure out everything on your own when there's so much information out there now. and there's people that literally like will give you answers so you can, in school we're taught it's not okay to cheat off your neighbor's test, but this is, life. And like the real truth is the people that get ahead and the people that get ahead the fastest, they they cheat, they hire mentors, they like copy people that are already successful and stuff, and sometimes they add their own spin on it, sometimes they don't. But yeah, they're copying things that work a lot of times. That's why and how they get there way faster. They're not trying to figure things out from scratch. So just wanted to reinforce to you in this video that like everything works. And so whatever it is you're curious about or interested in, don't let a couple of people that are probably not getting results with that thing talk you out of it. Because I mean, just to circle back around to my course, I've had, certain people over the years reach out, not a lot, but some people, and I don't know what all their skill levels are, but it kind of true, like it's like don't know what to do with this information when a known SEO, someone expert or someone that's had success, I consider an expert in the SEO space, they'll ping me every couple of years and say like, what are you doing now? Or like, what are you doing now considering that like this plugin no longer works? And I'm like thinking, well, did, did you try the plugin? Because like the plugin never stopped working for me. So it's like they create these theories in their mind. And I guess at least that's from my perspective, because it's like a lot of times they'll just assume that this thing that they haven't probably done in a while stopped working, and it's literally the thing that I'm still doing and that is working and is getting results. So yeah, like just if something's working for you, especially, don't let someone discourage you or talk you out of that thing either. Because yeah, you've already got results, you're already getting results, and you can just say, well, it's still working for me or whatever, but you don't have to like bend over backwards and trying to defend and hold your stance on why the thing that you're doing is still working. They're either going to, you know, maybe be convinced and give it another shot or whatever, or, you know, they're, it, if they're giving you a hard time, it's not worth convincing somebody who is probably just unconvincible at that moment that the thing that you're doing is still work. Yes, also, especially if you're like you're selling your own product. If someone, sometimes people that are reaching out with their concerns and objections, they want it to work. They want to be sold and stuff. But some people, I guess, they're just like jaded and they just want to like complain, and they're not in a place. They're not the kinds of people. They're not in a season of their life where they're wanting to be convinced and want to, want to be corrected and want to have, yeah, want the answers and stuff so that they can actually implement it. They just want to like complain and stuff. So anyway, yeah, just just want to reinforce that everything works. So a lot of this stuff that you may see on Facebook or social media about things not working or not working for somebody, if you are interested in that thing, I would look for people that are saying positive things about it. And yeah, and then they're clearly getting results, and just learn from them. So hope you got some value out of this video. Just want to, reinforce that, yeah, everything works out there. I'll tie this back into everything I've ever tried. Every single thing I've ever tried has pretty much worked, aside from the things that are just straight up scams, which I use that word very rarely, because the truth is very few things are scams. Pretty much everything I've ever tried worked, meaning it made me at least $1. And usually, if it didn't make too much more than that, it's usually because I gave up on it or I didn't, put very much effort into it. But the things I put in effort all have pretty much eventually worked. And if I wanted to get better at those things, then I could have made more money with each of those things. But maybe it was just not interesting to me, or it wasn't for me, it didn't fit my personality, didn't fit the way my mind processes information. But there's people making full-time livable wages, incomes, doing all sorts of things out there. So just want to give you some encouragement in this video, and especially if you're doing something, or involved in something that people are have like resistance around, but it's clearly working for you, or you see people that are getting results. Just don't let that discourage you from continuing to pursue that thing, and become an expert in that area, because usually things that are a little bit they have a little bit more of a barrier to entry. There's one thing that Alex Becker said one time in one of his videos. It's like, if you can just push through that, if you can just make it to the other side, there's usually not as many people on the other side. So there's like way less competition if you do make it through, and you do push through the things like that are challenging to you about that particular process. Usually when you figure out the recipe of that thing that works, that recipe that works for you for that thing you're trying to do, then you can just kind of live in that space for a long time with no one trying to compete with you over that same pot of gold. So that's another reason why it's worth it to pursue, certain things you're interested in. And so, yeah. And if you're watching this video and you haven't found that thing that works for you, that's going to make you money, whether you want to make like some just side hustle money, or you want like job replacing money, the thing that worked for me was affiliate marketing, and specifically using SEO traffic, organic search traffic from Google and YouTube awareness, and point that traffic towards products and services that I already liked and was interested in myself. And so if that sounds appealing to you, if you just want to introduce people and refer people to other products and services that you're already interested in or have already bought, and would like other people to know about, uh, if that resonates with you, this is a pretty simple business model that you don't have to be some super guru ninja that is awesome at like SOPs and things like that. My process is pretty simple, and it's just something that it's a simple process that you can just implement over and over again, and doesn't take a lot of, again, like super expertise or planning in order to do this. It's just something that requires a little bit of discipline and consistency, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're building momentum, and it's starting to snowball. And like all these commissions here, these are screenshots from several years ago, but all of these were like happening at the same time simultaneously. So I'd tinker and build like one income stream for a little bit, and a little bit meaning probably a couple of weeks or whatever, or like one YouTube video that eventually leads to a couple of $100. Build another one, and that build another one, because that's how my personality works, and stuff. So I just get excited about one thing for a little bit, make some content, and then go do something else. And then that piece of content is earning money for me while I'm pursuing the next thing. And so it has, again, this compounding effect, and you can build that for you as well. And just to share some results, I used to share these income reports, and I started tracking income back in the summer of 2015. And one thing I noticed was that even though I had what felt like very small income streams, like you can see this one here, it wasn't even $100 per month. And but I, since I had lots of these, like 20 or so, this times like 15 or 20, I noticed added up to quite a bit. And it's still kind of, every month I was like, wow, you know, as I'm getting these little checks, they don't really feel like much, but over time, it translates to several $1,000s, which at the time was way more money than I was making at my 9 to 5. So I was like, wow, like it has this really powerful effect. So don't let these commissions, if they seem small to you, and they are, don't let that discourage you, because like most people are making far less than that, like, at their job. And then, again, most people have never made $1 a month. So even just like 100-ish dollars per month consistently, and like pretty passively, at least that can pay for some food, some groceries, some entertainment, cell phone bill, um, you know, so uh, yeah, cancel out some expenses. So it's a simple business model that you can just do on your free time, side time, or whatever, and kind of use. It's something that you can build slowly over time, and you're not having to like rush. Like, this strategy is not going to go away. A lot of times these brands are not going to go away for years and years and years. Their affiliate program and their referral program is going to be around for many years. So all those things resonate with my personality and give me like peace. It's not some highly volatile method to where you're under some kind of time constraint where it's like, this window's closing and you've got to get in the next 30 days, and if you don't, you're not going to make any money. The opportunities have moved. That's not what I like at all. I just want to like slow, easy, pace myself, and just be able to do something simple consistently and let that build over time. So that's what works for me. It's worked for a lot of other people. And if that resonates with you, you can click, go to the website, SEOaffiliatedomination.com, watch the free presentation, and learn a little bit more about the process and see if it resonates with you too. But this video is about everything works, and just to kind of reinforce that, and to not to get discouraged as some people are talking about how this is dead, or this SEO is dead, email's dead, Facebook's dead, Instagram's dead. Like, they're all still around, so people are making money. And yeah, just find people that are getting results for that, learn from them, and then copy them, duplicate their success. So thanks for checking out this video and watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.